Imagine a moment of hope piercing through years of conflict. Israel and Hamas have just struck a historic deal to swap hostages for prisoners, potentially signaling the end of a devastating war in Gaza. But here's where it gets controversial. Is this truly a path to lasting peace, or merely a temporary pause in a cycle of violence that has claimed countless lives? Let's dive into the details of this breakthrough, unpacking what it means for everyone involved, and explore the twists that most people overlook. President Trump took to social media on Wednesday to announce that Israel and Hamas had signed off on the initial steps of his ambitious peace initiative. In a post, he revealed that both parties agreed to the first phase, which includes Israel withdrawing its forces to a predetermined boundary. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu confirmed speaking with Trump and planned to gather his cabinet on Thursday for formal approval. Hamas, in their own statement, emphasized that this accord would conclude the hostilities in Gaza and lead to Israel's complete exit from the region. The group urged Trump and international mediators to ensure Israel adheres strictly to all terms. Additionally, Hamas and Qatar, a key player in the talks, noted that the deal would facilitate the delivery of humanitarian aid into Gaza. Yet the finer points of the hostage-prisoner exchange and the specifics of Israel's military retreat remain shrouded in uncertainty. Israel's early announcements avoided mentioning any troop withdrawal, and while Netanyahu vowed to bring all Israeli captives home, he provided no further details. To grasp the full context, we need to rewind to the war's origins. It erupted in October 2023 when Hamas launched a surprise assault on Israel, resulting in the deaths of approximately 1,200 people and the abduction of around 250 hostages. In response, Israel's military operations have led to the deaths of over 67,000 Palestinians, encompassing both civilians and fighters, as reported by Gaza's health authorities, and have left the area's infrastructure in shambles. Late in September, Trump unveiled his comprehensive 20-point blueprint aimed at halting the conflict and securing the hostages' release. This plan proposes trading the Israeli captives for 250 Palestinians, serving life sentences, and an additional 1,700 Gazans detained by Israel since the war began. An insider close to the negotiations, who requested anonymity to discuss sensitive diplomatic matters, indicated that all surviving hostages, estimated at about 20, are slated for immediate release, possibly as early as Sunday. The remains of up to 28 deceased hostages would follow in phases, the source added. However, doubts linger about whether this truly marks the war's conclusion. Hamas has openly refused Netanyahu's insistence on their disarmament, and none of the statements from Israel, Qatar, the United States, or Hamas addressed the group's weaponry. Here's what else is worth noting: a glimmer of hope in Gaza. Residents in Gaza greeted the news with cautious optimism, believing it could finally terminate their prolonged ordeal. Montasser Baha, an English teacher who's been displaced in Khan Yunis, along with his family, shared a poignant mix of emotions: joy for the cessation of war and violence, coupled with deep sorrow for all we've endured. He mentioned that people stayed up late, fixated on news updates, eagerly awaiting confirmation of when the ceasefire would take effect. The peace plan's nuances. Trump's 20-point proposal includes aspects that Hamas has historically opposed, which might still create hurdles. For instance, it demands Hamas relinquish control and disarm, replacing them with a neutral Palestinian committee. This could be a major sticking point, as Hamas has governed Gaza since 2007 and views such demands as existential threats. To help beginners understand, think of it like a neighborhood dispute, where one side insists the other hand over their tools before agreeing to stop fighting. It's a power shift that challenges long-held positions. Trump's ultimatum. On Friday, Trump issued a stern warning to Hamas, stating that unless they accepted the deal by Sunday evening, more of their combatants would perish. That same day, Hamas agreed to free all hostages, both alive and deceased, but sought to renegotiate certain plan elements, By evening, Trump expressed confidence that Hamas was prepared for enduring peace and appealed to Israel to halt its airstrikes. Pressure on Israel. Israel's September 9th airstrike targeting Hamas officials in Qatar's capital drew ire from regional leaders and Washington. This incident, which didn't result in casualties but strained alliances, spurred Trump and his team to push Netanyahu toward endorsing a war-ending framework. For context, Qatar is a U.S. ally hosting an American military base, making the strike a diplomatic misstep that highlighted the delicate balance of international relations in the region. Now, how did these stalled negotiations evolve into a concrete agreement between Israel and Hamas? As the Gaza conflict approached its third year on Wednesday evening, Trump declared that Israel and Hamas had embraced the opening phase of his expansive peace proposal from late September. The breakthrough emerged following intense discussions in Egypt, with mediators like Qatar, Egypt, and the United States applying pressure on both sides, who avoid direct talks. The deal materialized swiftly after numerous failed ceasefire attempts amid Gaza's worsening humanitarian catastrophe. A pivotal shift occurred in early September when Israel conducted an airstrike on a residential area in Doha, Qatar, where Hamas negotiators were meeting about potential peace options. Although the attack spared the negotiators' lives, it provoked outrage across the Middle East and in Washington. Qatar's Prime Minister, Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdul Rahman Al Thani, accused Israel of attempting to undermine peace efforts. Qatar, a key U.S. partner with a military base, placed Trump in a tricky spot. He tweeted that such unilateral actions against a sovereign ally aiding peace talks didn't serve Israel's or America's interests. Ironically, this backlash fueled Trump and his advisors to compel Netanyahu to back a war resolution strategy, turning a potential setback into momentum. On September 23rd, at the United Nations General Assembly, Trump and his Middle East envoy, Steve Witkoff, hosted a session with leaders from Arab and Muslim nations to outline the plan's basics. This followed a UN event where countries like France, Britain, Canada, Australia, Portugal, and Belgium recognized Palestinian statehood, amplifying global pressure on Israel. Facing isolation, Netanyahu couldn't ignore his strongest supporter, Trump. At the White House on September 29th, flanked by Netanyahu, Trump revealed his 20-point roadmap for ceasefire, hostage liberation, and Gaza's post-war administration. During the meeting, Netanyahu apologized to Qatar's prime minister for the strike, with Trump witnessing the call. Trump then ramped up pressure on Hamas. On Friday, he threatened escalated casualties if they didn't comply by Sunday. Hamas countered by agreeing to release all hostages, but requesting negotiations on the plan's details. That night, Trump proclaimed Hamas ready for lasting peace and urged Israel to cease bombings. Netanyahu committed on Saturday to collaborate with the White House for an end to the conflict. By Monday, negotiators convened in Egypt to finalize the first stage, prisoner swaps for hostages, and partial Israeli withdrawal. Everyone desires this outcome, Trump stated at the White House, even Hamas. Soon after, prominent figures joined the talks, including Witkoff, Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner, a former Middle East advisor, and Qatar's prime minister. In a Wednesday night interview on Fox News with Sean Hannity, Trump celebrated the deal, but glossed over its challenges. "The entire globe united for this agreement," he remarked. Trump celebrates a historic deal, yet skimps on specifics. Just hours after heralding the Israel-Hamas accord, President Trump described it as a historic triumph, promising Middle East stability in a Fox News chat with Sean Hannity, though he barely touched on the intricacies. After prolonged impasses, Israel and Hamas finalized a hostage for prisoner release on Wednesday. Trump, the deal's architect, estimated hostage freedom likely by Monday. He framed it as broader Middle East peace, assuring Netanyahu via phone that the world is warming to Israel again. "I told Bibi, Israel can't battle the world," Trump recalled. You mentioned U.S. aid for Gaza's reconstruction and a powerful peace council, but omitted details on its operations. Key omissions included Hamas disarmament, prisoner release timelines, and Gaza governance. Perennial negotiation roadblocks. Instead, Trump pivoted to tariffs advantages and deploying National Guard in Democrat-led cities. He claimed tariffs enforced global peace. We won't tolerate adversaries. We'll impose tariffs. He dismissed lawsuits against his tariffs from states, businesses, and groups arguing he lacks congressional authority as anti-national. The deal followed Trump's intensified push unveiling his 20-point ceasefire blueprint in late September. It envisions hostage swaps for 250 lifers and 1,700 wartime detainees. The world rallied behind this, Trump said. Canada's Prime Minister Mark Carney commended Trump's crucial leadership and thanked Qatar, Egypt, and Turkey. Peace seems within reach after immense suffering, he stated. Canada urges all to implement terms swiftly for equitable, enduring peace. U.S. officials on Middle East affairs praised the team. Deputy Assistant Defense Secretary Mike Dimino tweeted, "Truly historic, proud of the squad. Couldn't have happened without POTUS's leadership and dedication to regional harmony." The Hostages and Missing Families Forum shared a video of relatives and freed captives in Washington, thanking Trump over the phone. "Thank you," they cheered, with Trump responding warmly. Pushpa Joshi, 18, sister of abducted Nepali student Bipin Joshi, taken October 7, 2023, expressed indescribable emotions. With scant updates on her brother's fate, she hopes for news now. "I'm confident I'll see his smile and hold his hand again," she said. In the interview, Trump avoided Hamas disarmament, prisoner details, and Gaza rule, major hurdles. He focused on tariffs and urban order. Israel's military welcomed the accord, pledging adherence to government directives. Chief of Staff Lieutenant General Eyal Zamir ordered preparations for defenses and hostage retrieval. Trump reiterated tariffs for peace, no dealing with fighters, tariffs instead. On future phases, he hinted at Gaza rebuilding via a Council of Peace, very influential, but vague. Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman, a Democrat supportive of Israel despite party tensions, lauded Trump's historic plan freeing all hostages. He noted shared, unwavering Israel commitment across parties. Trump predicted Monday releases. Hostages are being freed as we speak. An Israeli source expected Sunday for survivors. "I just spoke to Bibi. He can't believe the goodwill," Trump said. "Israel can't fight the world." He called it Middle East peace. "The world united," he added. Yet, withdrawal lines and Hamas disarmament remain murky. What does Trump's 20-point Gaza peace plan entail? On Wednesday, Trump confirmed Israel and Hamas agreement to the initial parts of his 20-point strategy to conclude Gaza's war and repatriate hostages via prisoner exchanges. He presented it late September at the White House with Netanyahu. The plan seeks immediate war cessation, full hostage release, alive and deceased, for Palestinian inmates, Israeli troop retreat, and aid influx to address Gaza's humanitarian emergency. However, elements and Trump's Gaza vision face Hamas resistance, potentially as future obstacles. It requires Hamas disarmament and exclusion from governance, Israel's long-standing demands that Hamas rejects. Hamas, ruling Gaza since 2007, would cede to a technocratic, non-political Palestinian committee under a peace board, chaired by Trump, with Tony Blair, ex-British PM, in a lead role. Gaza would become a de-radicalized, threat-free zone for redevelopment, benefiting residents. The board would oversee reconstruction, funding while the Palestinian Authority reforms to reclaim Gaza control. The authority, managing West Bank areas, faces corruption allegations. It aims for modern, efficient governance, attracting investment. A special economic zone with negotiated tariffs and access is proposed. No forced displacements. Voluntary exits with return options. Will encourage stays for a better Gaza, it states. Trump once suggested relocations, drawing backlash, now abandoned. Middle East partners would enforce Hamas compliance, U.S. with allies would deploy a temporary international stabilization force in Gaza. This force would train vetted Palestinian police, collaborating with Jordan and Egypt on borders. Israel won't occupy or annex Gaza, withdrawing per demilitarization milestones. Far-right Israeli factions advocate annexation. U.S. will foster Israel-Palestinian dialogue for coexistence. No guaranteed Palestinian state. As reforms progress, conditions for self-determination may emerge, recognizing Palestinian aspirations. All living hostages, about 20, released simultaneously, likely Sunday. Deceased remains, up to 28, stage, per an insider. In Gaza, hope prevails for ending the nightmare. Baja echoed, joy for peace, sorrow for losses. Families await truce news. What do we know about the remaining hostages in Gaza? Trump has prioritized hostage release in his ceasefire drive. Hamas abducted about 250 during the October 2023 attack, some already deceased. Key facts. Hostage count. Israel reports 20 alive, 25 bodies. Trump's plan aimed for 72-hour release post-Israel acceptance, but timing shifted after 9 days. Hamas videos show captives weakened, raising survival concerns. Returning bodies involves exhumation, taking time. Fate of others. Many freed via prior ceasefires or rescues. Over 35 died in captivity, 8 executed as troops neared, 4 in airstrikes, 3 by mistaken Israeli fire, 1 in crossfire. Others' deaths unclear. Hamas's gains. Plan exchanges hostages for 250 lifers and 1,700 detainees. Deceased swaps. 15 Gazan remains per Israeli. Prisoner release timing uncertain. Netanyahu hailed it as critical juncture, diplomatic win, national moral triumph, thanking Trump for Israel's safety commitment. Netanyahu and Trump had an emotional, warm call, congratulating each other. Netanyahu invited Trump to address Israel's parliament. Release preparations underway for this weekend. The Hostages Forum expressed excitement, anticipation, concern, urging swift approval to avoid hostage harm. In Israel, late-night TV broadcasts. Families posted joyful videos. Guy Gilboa Dalal's mother, "It's over," with cheers. Iran supports Palestinian resistance decisions, viewing ceasefire as blow to its axis of resistance strategy. After Hezbollah losses. Hamas calls for full implementation. Israel's President Herzog. All Israel stands with hostages. And this is the part most people miss. While celebrations abound, skeptics argue the plan's disarmament demands could reignite conflict if unmet, echoing past failed accords. Is this deal a bold leap toward reconciliation, or a risky gamble that ignores deep-seated grievances? What do you think? Does forcing Hamas out of power truly pave the way for peace, or does it set the stage for future unrest? Share your views in the comments. Do you agree with Trump's approach, or see it as overlooking Palestinian rights? Let's discuss.